My stepdaughter told me her deadbeat father was better than me after I refused to buy her a Christmas gift because she bullied my son. I later discovered my wife had been encouraging it all along and was secretly planning a divorce to take everything I owned. But she did not expect this. Hello Reddit I+ here. I never thought a single sentence could change how I saw my entire family. But it did. You're not even my real dad. My real father is way better than you. At least he doesn't try to control me. Those words came from my stepdaughter, and they landed right in front of my son, who was standing there holding back tears. That was the moment everything started to unravel. I am posting here because I need to get this off my chest, and maybe someone else will learn from my mistakes. For context, I am a 42-year-old man. I married my wife 8 years ago. She had a daughter from a previous relationship, and I had a son from my late partner. I stepped into that marriage believing we were building a blended family. I treated her daughter like my own. I paid for school, clothes, activities, phones, trips, and even therapy when she claimed she was struggling emotionally. Her biological father was barely around. He popped in once or twice a year with big promises and zero follow-through. No child support, no consistency, no responsibility. Still, I never spoke badly about him. I thought taking the high road mattered. I was wrong. From the beginning, my stepdaughter showed me open disrespect. Eye rolls, ignoring me when I spoke, talking back in front of guests, slamming doors. She would mock my rules and openly challenge my authority in the house. My wife always brushed it off. She's just expressive. She's a teenager. She doesn't mean it like that. Meanwhile, my son tried desperately to get along with her. He shared his things. He tried to include her. He looked up to her, and she treated him like dirt. She called him names, hid his things, spread rumors at school. Once, she poured juice into his backpack and laughed when his books were ruined. When I confronted her, she smirked and said he deserved it for being annoying. I punished her. Grounding, phone restrictions, chores. Every time, my wife would undermine it later. I would set a consequence, and she would quietly remove it when I was not home. That alone should have told me something was very wrong. Then Christmas came. Money was not an issue for us. I owned a successful logistics business that I built from the ground up. The house was mine. The cars were mine. Most of the savings were mine. I paid nearly every bill. But that year, after another incident where my stepdaughter pushed my son and told him no one would care if he disappeared, I had enough. I told her she would not be receiving a Christmas gift from me unless she apologized and took accountability. She exploded. She screamed that I was abusive. She told me I was playing favorites. She said I was trying to replace her real father. Then she said it. My dad is better than you. At least he wants me. You're just some guy my mom married. My wife stood there and said nothing. That silence told me more than any argument ever could. Christmas morning was tense. My son opened his gifts quietly. My stepdaughter sulked, scrolling on her phone. Later that day, she told her grandparents that I ruined Christmas. They sent me angry messages calling me heartless. What I did not know was that behind the scenes, my wife was actively fueling the fire. I discovered that months later by accident. One night, while printing documents from our shared laptop, I saw messages pop up. I was not snooping. The screen lit up on its own. It was my wife texting her sister. She needs to push him harder. The more unreasonable he looks, the better for court. He won't see it coming. The house alone is worth it. My hands were shaking as I scrolled. They were planning a divorce. They were documenting every argument, every punishment, every raised voice, twisting it into a narrative of emotional abuse. My wife was encouraging her daughter to provoke reactions, to disrespect me, to record me secretly. Then I saw messages that turned my stomach. She was also seeing someone else, a man I recognized. A coworker she always said was just a friend. A week later, I came home early from a work trip. I heard noises from our bedroom. I opened the door and found my wife in our bed with him. No excuses. No apologies. She looked at me like she had been caught stealing something she already believed belonged to her. She said calmly, "This was going to happen anyway." That was the moment I stopped being emotional and started being strategic. I did not yell. I did not fight. I walked out, got my phone, and called my lawyer. Within days, I learned how deep the betrayal went. She had consulted attorneys already. She had been moving money into a separate account. She planned to claim the business as marital property. She intended to say my son was unsafe around me because I was unstable, and her daughter knew all of it. During one argument after I confronted my wife, my stepdaughter laughed and said, "We're taking everything. You'll be living in some apartment while my mom gets the house." That sentence sealed her fate. I gave my lawyer everything. Screenshots, bank records, messages, recordings, witness statements, proof of infidelity, proof of manipulation, proof that the house and business were owned before the marriage. The court case was brutal. My wife played the victim, cried on the stand, claimed fear, claimed control, claimed emotional damage to her daughter. Her lawyer tried to paint me as a tyrant. Then my lawyer presented the evidence, the messages encouraging disrespect, the plan to provoke reactions, the affair, the financial deception, the recordings where my stepdaughter admitted they were trying to push me. The judge was not amused. My wife lost credibility instantly. The ruling was swift. She got none of the business, no claim to the house, no spousal support, minimal temporary assistance that expired quickly. I was granted full custody of my son with no contact required between him and my stepdaughter. When the judgment was read, my stepdaughter stared at me like she had just realized actions have consequences. As they left the courtroom, she muttered, "This isn't over." It was. They moved out within 30 days. The house felt quiet for the first time in years. My son smiled more, slept better, stopped flinching. Months later, I heard through mutual acquaintances that her biological father disappeared again. The man my wife left me for moved on. The money they expected never came. And me? I rebuilt my life without manipulation, without constant disrespect, without betrayal dressed up as family. Sometimes the people who try to break you forget one thing. You see everything clearly the moment you stop loving blindly. You see, after the divorce papers were finalized, I thought it was over. I was wrong. Losing in court did not stop my ex-wife. It only changed her tactics. The first attempt came 2 weeks after she moved out. I received a long message late at night. It was full of fake concern and carefully chosen words. She said she wanted to co-parent peacefully. She said her daughter was emotionally damaged by me. She hinted that if I did not help financially, she would be forced to take me back to court. I did not reply. The next day, she called nonstop. When I finally answered, she switched tones immediately. Calm, sweet, familiar. She told me she still cared about me. She said we could fix things. Then she slipped it in. "If you don't help us, I might have to file for child support again. Judges don't like men who abandon families." I reminded her of one simple fact. My son was not her child. Her daughter was not mine. The court already ruled on finances. She went quiet. Then the threats started. She claimed she would accuse me of emotional abuse. She said she had recordings. She said her daughter would testify against me. She said dragging me through court would ruin my reputation and my business. I forwarded every message to my lawyer and said nothing. A week later, I was officially served with papers. She was attempting to reopen the case, demanding spousal support, child support, and partial ownership of my company. She claimed new evidence had come to light. It had not. Court day came again. This time, she looked confident. Her daughter sat behind her, arms crossed, glaring at me the way she always had. During her testimony, my ex-wife cried and spoke about hardship. She claimed I cut them off financially out of spite. She claimed I promised to support her daughter forever. Then the judge asked a simple question. "Do you have proof?" She did not. My lawyer stood and calmly dismantled everything. He showed the previous ruling. He showed messages sent after the divorce where she admitted she was trying to pressure me. He showed her threats. He showed that her daughter was an adult now, no longer a minor and not legally tied to me in any way. The judge looked irritated. Then my ex-wife made a fatal mistake. She interrupted the judge. She raised her voice. She accused the court of being biased. She accused me of manipulating the system. The judge shut it down immediately. Her case was dismissed. Not only that, the judge warned her that continued harassment could result in legal consequences. Outside the courtroom, her daughter confronted me. She said I ruined her life. She said I was selfish. She said if I had just bought her that Christmas gift, none of this would have happened. I looked at her and felt nothing. No anger. No guilt. No need to explain. I walked away. That should have been the end, but manipulation has many forms. She tried again through mutual friends. She tried guilt through family members. She tried spreading rumors about me being cold and controlling. None of it worked. Every attempt was met with silence. Eventually, reality caught up with her. Without my income, things became harder. The lifestyle she assumed was permanent vanished. The people who supported her when they thought money was involved disappeared. The man she cheated with left when things stopped being easy. And me? I focused on my son. I focused on my health. I focused on peace. I sold the house and moved somewhere quieter. I downsized not because I had to, but because I wanted freedom. My business grew. My stress disappeared. One evening, months later, my son told me something that made everything worth it. He said, "It feels safe now." That was it. No court ruling, no apology, no revenge, just peace. I did not win by taking anything from them. I won by walking away and never looking back.